Greetings, this is Frosty Thundertrod, Telnar Beastmaster of the Thunder Guard. Today I'm going to be offering 3 criticisms of Ashes of Creation that I have developed here watching the game development. I'm making these before Alpha 2, and I will be in Alpha 2 Phase 1 October 25th. But these are the things that are bothering me right now, and so far I've only made, fanboy type videos for Ashes of Creation, so I wanted to offer some realistic counterpoints to my previous fanboyism, while still remaining solidly in the fanboy camp. My first criticism is there's way too many currencies. There is gold, there is node currency, there is glint, there is embers, there's intrepid bucks. This is just too complex of a system. And especially the embers and the intrepid bucks have another layer of problematic to them. Embers are used to buy cosmetic things from the Ashes of Creation shop. Now, instead of just having you pay for the item directly, so if you want this really cool mount skin, instead of paying $19.99, instead you pay 7,000 embers. What this does is it disassociates you from the money you're spending because you're only spending embers, you're not spending real money. And another common tactic is they'll usually sell the embers in two different, I'm going to back this off to, in general, instead of saying embers, premium currency. They'll generally sell the premium currency in 2 increments. They'll be like 3,000 and then 10,000. And then what you want to buy costs 7,000. So if you buy the 3,000, it costs like $9.99. But you can't buy anything with that. So you have to buy a couple of these. So you buy 2, you spend $20, and that gives you 6,000. You're almost there. You just need 1,000 more. So you go ahead and buy another 3,000, for another $9.99. So now you've dropped $30 and now you have 9,000, premium currency. Or instead of spending $30 for 9,000 premium currency, you can get a deal. You can buy 10,000 premium currency for $25. So great, you do that. I'm like, well, I'm saving me $5. Of course, no, you're just spending 25. You're not saving nothing. You're just spending 25. But then you're sitting there. Okay, I got 3,000 premium currency. I can't buy anything for 7,000. But if I buy the 3,000 twice, that will give me 9,000. And that only costs $20 instead of $25. So I can get this other item that I kind of like at a $5 discount. No, it's a trap. They make sure that the amount of the currency you purchase and the amount of that currency you need to buy things don't match up, so you're always tempted to have the urge to go buy just a little bit more to get you up to that point. You're not saving money. This is actually a trick to get you to spend more money. So while I don't object to cash shops, cosmetic shops, and stuff like that in games, because games have to make money somehow in order to survive, it really should be just direct purchase. If I want this cosmetic for my horse, I should just be able to buy it directly with money instead of this going through steps. And in game, this is another problem here. It's a silly complexity that adds nothing to the gameplay. When you kill a mob, it drops glint. You take the glint to the node, sell the glint to get gold. You do a task for the node gives you node currency. Then you can take and trade that node currency for gold. Then you get to a new node, then you can trade in your gold to get node currency in that node. Then you can go buy stuff in that node with node currency. This is it's a replication of the real life currency systems where each country or region has its own currency. I would say region in case of the EU, which everybody in the EU, uses euros. Although some of those countries still have their own individual currency in addition to the euro. And then for, true, international exchange, you go to the US dollar or you go to Bitcoin, which, this is, kind of a forced thing in real life, but it adds nothing in game. It does not make the game more fun or more enjoyable. So for currencies, I'd say go down to one currency. Everybody uses the same currency. If you want to make, smaller and bigger denominations of that currency, that's fine. If your gold's your base, you can have silver and copper, smaller ones, platinum to, reduce the size of your numbers as you get into late game and you become insanely wealthy. And when you buy stuff from the cosmetic shop, pay in real dollar amounts, or euro amounts, or pound amounts, peso amounts. Pay with real currency instead of doing this disassociation tactic of going through embers. And Intrepid Bucks, these were talked about a long time ago, but have not been talked about recently. So I'm not really sure what Intrepid Bucks are used for nowadays. I think they can still be used to buy game subscription time. So this is my first complaint about Ashes of Creation. My second complaint is the so-called 64 classes. This is something that really excited me about Ashes of Creation when I first heard about it. I'm like, holy cow, 64 classes. But over the last couple of years, as I've learned more about Ashes of Creation, I've learned that really it's 8 classes. And then each of the 8 classes, has 8 very slight differences. So like if you're a tank, and you're a tank and you're a tank, it just calls you a guardian. So this is, very good at blocking damage. If you're a tank on the road, it calls you a night shield. You dodge damage instead of blocking damage. If you're a tank and a keeper, your pet absorbs some of your damage, some damage from you instead of you blocking damage. Basically, the tank will always be a tank, but some of the flavor of how it tanks, changes. But in the end, damage reduction is damage reduction, whether it's done by dodging, parrying, blocking, damage shields, extra hit points, hell, even just straight up damage resistance. In the end, it's all the same thing with different names and maybe different visual cues. So I think we should stop saying there's 64 classes. There's 8 classes, and each class has 8 subclasses. I think that would be a more fair and accurate way to describe the archetype system. Next up is icons. Icons made sense back in the days when we were playing on a 15-inch CRT monitor, where screen real estate was at a premium. But take a look at all of these icons, and these are just the ones that have been captured from demos. These are probably not all of them. It is not possible for me or any other person in the world to be able to recognize each and every single one of these icons and know what they mean. But I can read. you know. So instead of, having this bow icon, just have it say shoot. Because I know what it means to shoot. You know, I look at this bow icon, I'm like, well, is that just a basic attack or is that a special ability? Well, let me mouse over it and find out. That's where I can look at the word shoot and, okay, I'm going to shoot. Or I can look at it and it'll say, barrage. I'm like, okay, so this is barrage. I know what that does. And another thing that kind of bothers me, which is similar related, is you'll have something like stumble. So you find the stumble icon, and I have no idea which one of these is the stumble icon. But then, alright, so you're like, okay, so stumble. What does stumble do? That might be stumble right there. Or that might be haste, I don't know. That might be haste too. So you look up, so you mouse over stumble and it says applies effect stumbled. Okay, so what does effect stumbled do? I don't know. It just says I have that effect. So now I gotta alt tab out of the game and go to the wiki and look up effect stumbled. This was kind of clearly demonstrated in the Bard showcase when Steven was mousing over his abilities and it said I forgot which, but anyway, it listed an effect that applied, and then Steven, the developer of the game, had to ask somebody else, well, what does this effect do? And it was a snare. That's all it was. But instead of saying, minus 30% speed, it said, stumble. So what does stumble mean? Well, now we figured it out. Some of these are indeed fairly obvious. Others are not so much. Something like weakened. Does that mean that you're more susceptible to damage? Does that mean you're going to deal less damage? Either one could be true. Is it just physical damage? Are you just weakened to physical damage? Or are you weakened to magical damage? Or for that matter, is just your physical damage weakened, or is just your magical damage weakened? I don't know. It just says weakened. So I'm going to have to go to the wiki and find out what does weakened mean. I suppose if it just said, reduce physical resistance on target. Great. Got it. That's weakened. So these are my criticisms so far of Ashes of Creation. Thank you very much for watching.